Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. We're going to be getting into something today that I think is super relevant to a lot of our listeners. Those of you out there who are working on your own businesses or side hustles, really anything where you are, in charge of your own financial destiny, which is cash flow.
hmm
We've got some great material for this deep dive today from Mimi's unedited video. So let's
Absolutely.
just jump right into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think we all have that feeling. I know, at least I do, when you're first starting out, especially if you're working, for yourself, freelancing or doing your own business, and you get that first big sale or that first, really good month, and it's like, yes, I've made it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's the entrepreneurial high right there.
It is. It's like so exciting.
It is.
But then Mimi does a really good job of reminding us that, it's not always going to be like that, especially when you're first starting out. It can be a real roller coaster.
Oh, for sure. That honeymoon phase can be amazing, but cash flow can really feel like you're on a roller coaster, especially like you said for new businesses when you don't have
Right.
those years and years of experience and kind of knowing what to
You
expect.
don't have that consistency yet.
Yeah, yeah.
So you might have 1 month where it's amazing and then, 3 months where things are kind of dry.
Yeah, and you're dipping into those savings, wondering like, okay, when's that next client going to sign? Or when am I going to, make those sales goals? And that's where I think Mimi's advice about having that cash reserve, that 3 to 6 months worth of operating expenses, it's such a game changer.
That's huge. Yeah, that's like, when you talk about having an emergency fund for your personal life, that's
Yes.
like the business equivalent of an emergency fund.
Yes, exactly. It's peace of mind.
Yeah.
You can weather those dips and you're not, stressing about making payroll or keeping the lights on. It allows you to like really focus on growing your business.
And it ties into this whole idea of, cash flow being the heartbeat of your business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you think of it that way, it's more than just, making money. It's about having this steady rhythm, this flow that keeps everything moving. Would you say that's a good analogy?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love that you're using that analogy of a heartbeat because it really is about maintaining a healthy rhythm, right?
Mm.
Just like our bodies need that steady beat, businesses need that consistent flow of cash coming in and going out. It's what keeps everything running smoothly.
It's vital.
Yeah, I mean, think of it like this. Your business it's a high performance engine, right? And revenue, that's the gas, that's what gets you going. But cash flow, that's the oil. That's what keeps everything running smoothly, prevents those breakdowns. You can't have one without the other.
It's that essential maintenance
Exactly.
that you need to be doing all the time.
Yeah, and it's about, just like you wouldn't wait for your car to completely break down before you change the oil.
Right.
You don't want to be waiting until your business is in dire straits before you start thinking about cash flow.
So true.
You've got to be proactive.
Be proactive, get ahead of it.
Exactly.
And one of the things that I know we're going to talk about a little bit more, but Mimi really emphasizes is this idea of inconsistent revenue, which I know, especially when you're first starting out. I mean, we've kind of touched on that a little bit already,
Yeah.
but that can be one of the biggest
It's
challenges
such a challenge.
because you don't know.
And it's almost inevitable, I think, especially when you're new and you're figuring things out. You're figuring out your ideal clients, your pricing, your marketing. It can feel like you're constantly navigating a financial obstacle course. Like
Yeah.
1 minute you're up, you're making sales, you're feeling great, and then the next minute you're like, oh, okay, got to watch my spending a little bit because things have slowed down.
It's such a good analogy. Like you're trying to budget for a trip, but you have no idea where you're going or how much it's going to cost.
Right, exactly.
So how do we get off this roller coaster, right? Like as entrepreneurs, what are some of the ways that we can kind of maybe not completely eliminate it, because I don't know that you ever can, but at least make it a little less wild of a ride.
Well, and that's the thing. We can't control everything, right?
Yeah.
Especially in business, there are always going to be factors that are outside of our control. But what we can control is how we prepare for them.
How we react to them.
Exactly. Mimi uses a really great analogy of a farmer dealing with unpredictable harvests. Some seasons are going to be bountiful, you're going to have more crops than you know what to do with, and then other seasons you might face drought or, some other unforeseen circumstance that impacts your yield. But the smart farmer, they prepare for those lean times, right? They save some of those
Stock the silo.
yes, stock the silo. They save some of those plentiful harvests for the times when they know they might not be as fortunate. And I think that's such a powerful analogy for how businesses should approach cash flow.
So that cash reserve we were talking about, that's like stocking the grain silo.
Exactly. It's about having that buffer, that safety net to carry you through those lean months when maybe the sales aren't coming in as quickly as you'd like. And it's not just about, saving for a rainy day. It's also about understanding where your money is going in the first place, getting really clear on your expenses. Because that's another area where I think a lot of entrepreneurs, especially those who are maybe newer to the game, they might not be as aware of those hidden expenses that can really sneak up on you.
Oh, 100%. Yes.
It's like death by a thousand paper cuts, but for your
Right.
finances.
It's those little things. It's not even always those big, scary expenses
Exactly.
that,
Exactly.
might feel overwhelming. It's those little things, like you said, the paper cuts, that, individually might not seem like a big deal, but when they all add up,
Yes.
they can really put a dent in your bottom line.
They can really sabotage your budget.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's where, Mimi's advice is just so valuable because she doesn't just say, hey, watch out for those hidden expenses. She gives you practical tips on how to actually do that.
Okay, so like, what are some of her tips?
Well, she talks about, first of all, just getting really granular with your budget. Like, don't just have these broad categories of, you know, office supplies or marketing.
Right.
Break it down. Like, really get in there and track every single expense, even those small ones that might seem insignificant. Because often it's those small recurring expenses, the ones that are just a few dollars here and there. Those are the ones that can really add up over time.
And I think this is where so many people get tripped up, is that they, maybe they've created a budget at some point,
Mm-hmm.
but they kind of like set it and forget it.
Yeah, or they're afraid to look at
I
it.
don't want to know.
Exactly. But Mimi really stresses the importance of revisiting that budget on a regular basis, ideally at least monthly, and just saying, okay, where's my money actually going? Am I on track? Do I need to make adjustments?
Yeah, and I'm sure this looks different for every business owner, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even just thinking about, when I was first starting out as a freelancer, like my biggest expense was probably coffee. Like, let's be real, I was living on caffeine.
Oh, I feel that.
But now, my business has evolved, my needs are different, and so my expenses reflect that, right? Now it's more about those software subscriptions
Oh, yeah.
and the different tools that I need to run my business.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the things that I need to be really mindful of now in my budget.
Exactly. It's about adapting, right? Your business
Oh,
is constantly evolving, so your budget needs to evolve along with it.
It's got to keep pace.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about inconsistent revenue. We've talked about those hidden expenses that can really sneak up on you.
Yeah.
What's next on the list of kind of cash flow pitfalls?
Well, this next one is a big one, and it's something that I know a lot of entrepreneurs, especially freelancers and solopreneurs, really struggle with. And that is those dreaded late payments from clients.
Oh, tell me about it. Late payments, the bane of every freelancer and entrepreneur's existence, right?
It really is. I mean, you put in all the work, you deliver amazing results, and then you're stuck playing email tag trying to get paid.
Ugh, it's the worst. And it's not just about the money, it's about the principle, you know?
Absolutely. It can really feel like a lack of respect for your time and your value.
Exactly. And then there's that awkward dance of, like, how long do you wait before you send a follow-up invoice?
Right. Do you send a friendly reminder or do you go straight for a more, shall we say, firm approach?
It's so uncomfortable. But I'm curious, what's Mimi's take on this? She has to have some wisdom to share on navigating this tricky terrain.
She does. And as always, her advice is super practical. She starts by emphasizing the importance of setting crystal clear payment terms from the get-go.
Music to my ears. Spell it out, right?
Exactly. Don't be afraid to have that conversation up front. Outline your payment deadlines, preferred methods, everything.
And what about those, awkward late fee conversations? How do you approach that without, like, scaring potential clients away?
Yeah, it's a delicate balance for sure. Mimi suggests framing it as a way to ensure fairness and mutual respect. It's not about being punitive, it's about valuing your time and ensuring a smooth and professional transaction.
So it's like setting those healthy boundaries early on.
Exactly. And, sometimes just having that late fee policy in place, even if you don't always enforce it, can be enough to encourage timely payments.
Like a little insurance policy.
Exactly. And on the flip side, to incentivize those early birds, Mimi's a big fan of offering discounts for prompt payments.
Oh, I love that. Everybody wins in that scenario.
Right. They save a little money, you get paid faster. What's not to like?
It's a win-win. Okay, so we've talked about Setting clear expectations and using both carrots and sticks to encourage timely payments. What other gems does Mimi have up her sleeve for tackling this issue?
Oh, she's got a whole toolbox full of strategies. One thing she emphasizes is the importance of automating as much of the invoicing process as possible.
Oh, automation is a lifesaver, especially when you're juggling a million things as an entrepreneur.
It's like having a virtual assistant who takes care of all those tedious tasks for you.
Right. No more late night invoice sending or like frantically trying to remember if you sent that payment reminder.
Exactly. And it helps you stay organized too. You can track payments, see who's paid and who hasn't, all in one place.
Okay, so automation is key. Anything else? What about those clients who are like chronically late? You know, the ones I'm talking about.
Ugh, yeah, we've all had those clients. It's tough because you want to maintain a good relationship, but you also need to protect your business.
Right, it's a balancing act for sure. So how do you handle those situations?
Well, Mimi's advice is to address it directly, but with empathy. Maybe there's a reason they're consistently late, and a simple conversation can clear the air.
It's about keeping those lines of communication open.
Exactly. And if they're receptive to it, you could even explore alternative payment arrangements that work better for both parties.
Okay, so communication is key.
Hmm,
Address those late payment issues head on, but with a healthy dose of understanding and flexibility.
exactly. Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about another common cash flow challenge, which ties into this idea of, setting realistic expectations. And that's this myth of instant profitability that so many entrepreneurs buy into.
Ah, yes, the I'll quit my job and be a millionaire by next year illusion.
Right. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely those unicorn stories out there. But for most businesses, especially new ones, it takes time to gain traction and become profitable.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. And that's where understanding your burn rate becomes crucial. Burn rate, that sounds a little intense. Like, is my business on fire?
Well, not literally, hopefully, but it is about understanding how quickly you're going through your initial investment or startup capital. Think of it like, how much money you're burning each month to keep the lights on and the business running.
Okay, that makes sense. So, how do you figure out your burn rate? And more importantly, how do you keep it under control?
Well, the first step is to get really clear on all your expenses, both fixed and variable. And then you need to track your spending meticulously. Spreadsheets are your friend here.
Spreadsheets and I have a love-hate relationship, but okay, I get it. Track everything. So, once you've got a handle on your burn rate, what then?
Then it's about being really strategic with your spending. Mimi talks about this idea of being lean and mean in the early stages of your business.
Okay, so like ditch the fancy office space and hold off on hiring a team of personal assistants.
Exactly. Do you really need that top-of-the-line espresso machine right now? Or can you make do with a good old-fashioned coffee pot?
I mean, I do love my espresso. But okay, I see your point. It's about prioritizing and being resourceful.
Absolutely. And what I love about Mimi's approach is that she emphasizes that this isn't about depriving yourself or being cheap. It's about being smart and strategic with your resources.
It's about making those dollars stretch. So you're saying that managing your burn rate is all about being mindful of your spending, prioritizing what's essential, and not being afraid to get a little scrappy in the beginning.
Exactly. And this ties into our final cash flow challenge, which is, dare I say, a little less about numbers and a little more about mindset.
Ooh, intriguing. Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me more.
This one's all about the importance of looking ahead, of thinking beyond just the here and now of your business.
So, like having a crystal ball to predict the future of your finances.
Well, not quite a crystal ball, but it is about embracing the power of financial forecasting.
Okay, so less fortune telling, more informed planning. I can get on board with that.
Yeah.
But honestly, financial forecasting always sounded a bit intimidating, like something only those Wall Street types do.
I hear you.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be scary. Mimi breaks it down in a way that's really approachable. Think of it like, when you're planning a road trip.
Okay, now you're speaking my language. I love a good road trip. Scenic routes, quirky roadside attractions.
Exactly. You don't just hop in the car and start driving without any idea where you're going or how you're going to get there, right?
Yeah.
You check out the route. Maybe scope out some interesting stops along the way.
Of course. Gotta have snacks and a killer playlist, too.
Exactly. Well, financial forecasting is like creating a roadmap for your business. It's about looking ahead, projecting your income and expenses, and then figuring out how to get from point A to point B, financially speaking.
So it's about having a plan, but also being flexible enough to adjust along the way, just like you would on a road trip if you encountered a detour or discovered a must-see spot you hadn't planned for.
You've got it. It's about being proactive, not reactive,
Yeah.
and having the financial awareness to make informed decisions that support your business goals.
Wow. When you put it like that, financial forecasting sounds less like a chore and more like a strategic advantage.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
And the best part is, it doesn't have to be this complicated, overwhelming thing. Even starting with a simple forecast, like projecting your income and expenses for the next 3 to 6 months, can be incredibly valuable.
I'm starting to see the light. It's about taking control of your financial future, not just letting things happen to you.
Yes, it's about making those numbers work for you, not the other way around.
This has been so eye-opening. Mimi's insights are pure gold for any entrepreneur, freelancer, or side hustler who wants to not just survive, but truly thrive in the world of business.
Absolutely. It all comes down to knowledge, preparation, and a little bit of that entrepreneurial spirit. And speaking of leveling up, we've talked a lot about Mimi's advice on building a cash reserve of 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. But what if we challenge ourselves to think even bigger? What if we set our sights on 9 months or even a full year's worth of expenses saved up?
Whoa, now that's a goal. But imagine the freedom and peace of mind that would come with having that kind of financial cushion.
Exactly. Talk about sleeping well at night. It would open up so many possibilities, investing in growth opportunities, navigating unexpected challenges without batting an eye, maybe even finally taking that dream vacation.
It's about transforming your relationship with money from one of stress and uncertainty to one of confidence and empowerment.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So, to all our listeners out there, as you continue your deep dive into the world of cash flow, remember this. Knowledge is power, preparation is key, and a little bit of ambition can go a long way.
Here's to mastering the art of cash flow and building businesses that are both profitable and sustainable.
Until next time, keep diving deep, and remember, your journey to financial mastery starts with understanding the flow.